Okay, this video is going to focus on solving one-step equations. Now, in some cases, it's going to take a couple steps for us to get the solution, but some of them are just one steps. What I want to review before we begin is the idea of inverse operations. So if I add something and I want to undo that, then I would subtract. If I have subtraction, I need to undo it, I'm going to add. If I have multiplication and I want to undo it, I'm going to divide. And if I have division and I want to undo it, I'm going to multiply. Okay, so very important idea as you do algebra is the idea of using inverse operations or the opposite to undo something. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go through this. All right, first one. Now you could easily figure this out in your head, right? Because this is a fact family that you learned probably in first grade. But the process is what we're looking for here. I want you to remember this is my balancing point. This means is the same as. If I change something on this side and don't change anything on this side, it's no longer the same as, right? So whatever I change on this side, I have to also change on this side so that we can keep this balance point here at the equal sign. All right, so let's using inverse operations, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. This becomes a 0, right? 5 minus 5 is 0. So that's left with an a on this side, and then 9 minus 5 is 4, so a is 4. Now this one, because this is a negative c, this is going to take an extra step at this point, okay? In the future, when there's better understanding of positive and negatives and how multiplication and all that works, you won't have to do this step, but for right now, it's the easiest way. So I'm going to add a c to both sides, right? Remembering this is my balancing point right here. So I'm adding a c. So I have a new equation that looks like 15 is equal to 12 plus c. So now what I'm going to do is I'm trying to get that c by itself, right? Isolate that c, keeping in mind this is my balance point. So I'm going to subtract a 12 from both sides. So now I have my 0 here. C is by itself. 15 minus 12 is 3. All right. This one, nothing is necessary for us to do. The y is already isolated. We just need to add these together. And in my head, what I'm thinking is I make this a 10, right? So 10 plus 15 is 25. But this was one less, so this has to be one less. So y is 24. All right. For this one, where you have your variable underneath, the easiest way to do this is to multiply. Remember, this is division, so to undo something, we need to do the opposite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by the opposite of this to make this 1. So I'm going to multiply by d over 1, right? So I'm going to multiply this side by d over 1. Okay, so I've got a new equation that looks like 45 because these are going to cancel each other out. 45 is equal to 5d. Okay, and this one, like number 2, is we've got to take an extra step. It just for right now. All right, and now inverse operation. This is multiplied, so now I'm going to get the d by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Okay. So d is 45 divided by 5 is 9. All right, now you notice this one, the t is up top. So I don't need to do the extra step like I did here. Okay, it's only when that d is on the bottom. So with the t on the top, I'm just going to multiply both sides by 7 over 1, right? So I'm taking this bottom one and I'm going to multiply it by both sides. So then we have t by itself, because these are going to cancel each other out. T is equal to 8 multiplied by 7, and that is 56. And last one, 6b is equal to 66. I'm going to use the inverse, so I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So b is equal to 66 divided by 6, which is 11. All right, I hope this was a helpful review.